Hi, welcome back to another exciting installment of Ascent of Mount Carmel. This channel is devoted to a reading and better understanding of the book Ascent of Mount Carmel by St. John of the Cross. If you've just stumbled onto this video, it's probably a good idea to go back to the channel page and watch the videos in numerical order. They'll likely make more sense in that way. Today we're discussing the 5th paragraph of the 4th chapter of the first book, Ascent of Mount Carmel. We talked about creatures in the last installment, but we really didn't talk about why it's so hard to get rid of a creature. Well, the reason we like creatures is because we feel good about them. They make us feel comfortable. However, it might be that those creatures aren't good for us. It might be a codependent type relationship with this creature. The reason we call it a creature is because it has a life of its own. We used the analogy of a monkey on the back last time, and that's probably a good one. If it was easy to get rid of this creature, we wouldn't have an attachment to it. We would already be detached and it wouldn't be so important for us to get rid of it. But the reason we're comfortable with it is because perhaps it enhances our pride, makes us feel better about ourselves. But it might not be making us a better person, might not be bringing us closer to God. And in fact, creatures by their definition are stumbling blocks to getting us closer to God and achieving this divine union, this enlightenment which we are striving for. So in order to cast off a creature, it is a difficult time, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more when we discuss probably the ultimate creature, which is pride. There is an ancient heresy in the church called Gnosticism. The Gnostic believes that there is hidden knowledge in which that person can utilize to achieve salvation or a divine union with God. If you add the suffix ag, which means not or no, you have an agnostic, which means no knowledge, and that person does not purport to have any knowledge of whether there is a God or not. A Gnostic purports that there is secret knowledge that a person can learn, which will lead them to divine union or salvation, while St. John of the Cross says that all knowledge that you need to do this is contained in sacred scripture or the tradition of the Catholic faith. In effect, a Gnostic believes you can think your way to salvation. That is the exact opposite of what St. John is talking about here. There is no secret key. Most of us spend a lot of time studying and learning our religion, but we risk being prideful about this knowledge. St. John of the Cross says, "All the wisdom of the world and all human ability compared with the infinite wisdom of God are pure and supreme ignorance." And this is proved by Scripture. The wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. St. John cautions us that if we think that we will advance in our spirituality because of our knowledge, we're supremely ignorant in the eyes of God, and we will remain far removed from His wisdom. This is also proven by Scripture. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. To truly acquire the wisdom of God, we must be like ignorant children, laying aside our knowledge, serving God with love. Let him become a fool, that he may be wise. To come to union with the wisdom of God, the soul has to proceed by unknowing rather than by knowing. Whoever would be greater must be less, and whoso would be less must be greater, and therefore such a soul will be unable to attain divine union. For slavery can have no part with liberty, and liberty cannot dwell in a heart that is subject to desires. In order to achieve divine union with God, we must empty ourselves out. We must get rid of our pretensions and our pride. St. Thomas Aquinas tells us that pride is the most serious and deadly of the 7 deadly sins. It's present in all sins. It was present in the first sin of Satan, who rebelled against God and said, "I will not serve." St. Augustine says that humility is the greatest of all virtues. There's been a lot of transformations in society over the last 55 years, but one of the more interesting ones is that pride has become a good thing, where once it was considered a vice. Pride is not the same as self-respect and self-confidence. They're two different things. This is evidenced by the fact that there seem to be many prideful people that seem to have very poor self-respect. There are many people who use the words pride and self-respect interchangeably, and they might dismiss this distinction between the meanings of the words. They might say that the words are close enough, and they're just words. Well, words are important. Words direct our actions and thoughts. So as we said with creatures, it's not easy to rid ourselves of these attachments, these things that make us feel comfortable, puff us up, but really pull us further away from God. If we wish to achieve divine union with God, we must rid ourselves of this creature, and pride is the most insidious and difficult creature to rid ourselves of. I must warn you that the first week you try to do this, if you really make a strong effort to rid yourself of pride, it's going to be like getting off of a drug, going cold turkey. You'll feel miserable that first week or two. But I promise you that feeling will soon pass. Every time you get rid of any creature, you'll be feeling miserable because you're getting rid of what you feel like is an old friend. However, all of this soon passes, and as you make progress, you'll realize it was all very worthwhile. So please, never despair. And please, pray for the church. We'll be back again next week with another installment.
I wish you was there.